Hey everybody, I thought I'd do a fun little live video stream here this morning. I'm always playing around with this YouTube page, and I thought, what the heck, why don't we give this a try? So, it looks like we're broadcasting here. I have no idea how to do this, but we're just having some fun. I wonder if there's a link or something that I can do. There it is. So we'll put that in the lounge. If you guys see this later on, we'll have some fun. Ah, that's an interesting screenshot we have there. So, you know, this Bitcoin's awful fun. And I thought I'd just take a few minutes and just talk a little bit about Bitcoin here. What I sort of see off this weekly price chart, because I kind of think it's handy for us to take a look at the weekly chart every once in a while. And just sort of maybe just touch on a few notes. That's all. It's about 10 o'clock here on the Pacific. It's a beautiful late spring day. Can't complain. I mean, really, if anything, in a weird sort of way, this is very normal of the time of year. They say when in May, sell in May and walk away. You know, all the professionals in Wall Street. I mean, Wall Street itself is basically on its highs. So people are feeling pretty good. And the interesting thing, you know, that it's ironic in that, and I've seen this throughout my career. Usually, markets do the best when there's kind of political gridlock, and in a weird sort of way, I think, um, you know, on balance, the political structure in the United States now is. Um, It's actually, in a weird sort of way, even though it is a right leaning Congress, they actually have to take a little bit more of a leftist approach with the current leader of the executive branch. And that sort of confusion coming out of the executive branch is, in a weird sort of way, maybe halted the dramatic policy changes that people were expecting. So, ironically enough, usually in those kind of gridlock scenarios when legislation really can't get passed, um, the markets do pretty well. And I am seeing that just generally, you know, here we are into a seasonally very friendly time of year and things are very uppy. So, given what we're seeing on the Bitcoin chart, does it kind of make sense? In a weird sort of way, I think, you know, it actually does. Um, you know, within the community, of course, and hats off to Sebastian. um, we all, I think, clearly identified this market was going parabolic. So I don't think that that was ever in doubt. It's just a question of, you know, where's the top? Are you going to try and call tops? Are you going to try and pick tops? And could you get run over in that process? I do see that happens a lot with people. Hats off to the Twitter community and the people there. For people that were playing the move off the top, I didn't personally have any setups that really set up well. In fact, you know, I might even argue that I'm hunting short setups now. They're just starting to emerge, but that's here nor there. The purpose of this conversation is really to talk about how, you know, first and foremost, and you can see the size of this wick, it was very, very dangerous to be calling tops anywhere in here. A lot of price movement. And I don't see it as much anymore, which was really encouraging. But we used to see a lot of sort of wrecked and FOMO and stuff like that. To a certain degree in this move, I actually didn't feel like I didn't see as much of that. So that's actually encouraging. But we did have, you know, those crazy tweets about, you know, guys talking about buying Bitcoin and how it's like playing the Super Bowl and, you know, gifs of big booby chicks and stuff like that, sex sells. I mean, if anything, it was almost cliche. I really do think that the market moved into that conference. And there were a lot of positives that developed out of the conference. I think, you know, at least just communication is probably the most important thing in this space. And consensus, right? But, you know, I think it was a classic buy the rumor, sell the news kind of scenario. And for me personally, I just didn't see the top. There were some people in our community, of course, that we have such great traders in our community. They're trading all over the place here. Dinosaur Brian, a little bit slow, but nonetheless, I think on balance, our message was, just holy crap, do not, number one, do not be buying up in here. We're really late to the party. And then number two, for me to actually call this bull over finish Kaputski, I want to see some sort of structural top. Even though, even our last top, we had the blow off top move, but interestingly, right after the initial dump, there was a rally right back up into topping ranges. And those are the kind of trade setups that I love to hunt. To, take a shot at calling tops, if you will. And really, I remember in this space, we actually started our website right in here, Julian and I. And the first term of the class, we had a few people that, really had to go through, it was really, really tough experience for them to have to ride through this bear. So here we are in very different environment. We're probably, in relative speaking, we're probably, in this kind of phase, if you will. And I would also say too that, and this is something that you're not going to really see for another few years, but demographically we're going through a very important pivot point here through 2017, 18, 19. Some really big celestial events occur in our solar system around 2020. So this is going to be a tough time period for humanity anyway. In a weird sort of way, in our education programs, of course, we just simply talk about the fact that through this cycle, this particular part of the cycle, people are fearful. They're worried about, what are they going to do in retirement? Because keep in mind, a big chunk of our population is there. And it's funny. We have one site member, I think he calls it the granny indicator. He knows when a top is about to come into the market when grandma looks over at him and says, what's all this about this Bitcoin stuff? Should I be buying Bitcoin? Uh-oh. That's the end, not the beginning. So, on balance, and, I love this curve. This curve is so beautiful. I don't know if the curve, I got a funny feeling through the blow off top, the curve actually now, this upper curve becomes support. And then once this is lost, then that's the end of the trend. But we're not there yet. I think what has to end up happening here is we have to do some playing, and gee whiz, look at, I find this incredible how, and I was even posting this in the lounge just a few minutes ago, how, under most circumstances, if we got a 1.618 to 200%, and I teach in my bloody education programs, we use these extension windows as profit-taking targets, right? Take profits in here. Under normal circumstances, we'd be quite happy and be like, wow, what a move. But it's funny because the market did shoot up so far. And the pullback has been as violent as it has, creating this incredible wick. There's almost this really kind of almost like deflated kind of mood. People are forgetting the fact that these silly things were only $200, $300, $400 for quite a while, not that long ago. So anyway, what's sort of my thinking here? I think we had some big psychological levels hit. I've sort of talked to the community, and we talk about it in our daily briefs and stuff. It isn't so much that, a little old lady sell half on a double, banging out doubles, Brian's, calling tops, and the Beamish effect, as one of our alumni loves to point out. It's not so much that it's me that's doing it. It's more a function of just natural progression in price. And what happens at these natural progression levels, thinking like parking garage kind of concept, the way price moves. And, off of the structural bottom, and you can clearly see where the market accepted back into bull off 300. At 600, there had to be a consolidation. Then at 1200, there had to be a consolidation. So should there be should it be expected? Should it be out of the question to expect some sort of consolidation at 2,400? I don't think so, and I think that's just normal. I think there's a danger, guys, and when you get these face rip moves up, I mean, this is unsustainable. We have to, at the very least, consolidate a little bit. But there is a danger when we're face ripping up here to sort of think that this is your net worth when the market's screaming up here. And, you know, let's say you own a basket of altcoins and they're priced in Bitcoin, right? And you look at your Bitcoin balance and it's like, holy Jesus H Christ, I'm rich. But that's dangerous in this game of capitalism. If anything, it's probably better to only like take a look at these sort of net worth statements on like a, you know, maybe weekly, but really like a monthly basis. Markets by nature are volatile. And I don't think it's healthy for you to actually start beating yourself up that, well, I was worth this much and I've lost this amount of money. That's not healthy. You know, I think it's a good idea, you know, to pay yourself as the market moves forward. And if this was, you know, if you had little old lady Bitcoin, the trade setup, ironically enough, was actually extremely simple and very cliche. We could probably show you at least 100 different altcoins that have done this exact same pattern over the past year or two. And, you know, it's your job as a trader or investor, whatever hell you want to call yourself, in this case, investor, higher time frame, to pay yourself when the market affords that opportunity. I think, you know, is this the top? Well, only time will tell. I mean, in all honesty, that's the way I would respond there. I think that on balance, the fear cycle, holy Jesus, we could show you a chart of the gold in 1980, and it was shocking. The market had a big run up into like late 79. Yeah, maybe, you know, next live stream I'll do something, I don't know. But and then I remember everybody was like, okay, that's it. We all made a whole bunch of money. And NASDAQ did the same damn thing in 2000. I remember same thing. Oh, that's it. We all made it. And everything went quiet and all hell broke loose. And the price just goes and it just went up day after day after day. I mean, just violent moves. I got a funny feeling something like that's going to happen here. It's interesting because we have one chart that we look at that's so beautiful, and it was is James, one of my all-star alumni, pupils, student of the market. It's beautiful to watch him in action. And he really fell in love with this whole Gann square of 9 concept. And actually, he's really taken his Gann studies to the next level. And we had one chart, and it was just sick. I mean, this top was literally a goddamn square 9 level. I mean, it was just ridiculous. So if you're into sort of mysticism and mystic trading and all that kind of stuff, holy moly, that's just crazy. But one of Gann's simple principles is the 50% level is just simply a 50% level of this high. And of course, this high being 2,700 and change. You know, guys, don't be shocked if Bitcoin has to come down. And actually, we have this was the original bull bear battle zone that set up this last blast higher here. Don't be shocked if we have to come back down and play in that area again. And, you know, I don't think it's, unless, of course, we get, you know, like Gox kind of scandal stuff, and which is kind of funny. Isn't it ironic that the market peaked like this and Mr. Kerpelis came back into the news exactly on this fucking candle? Oh, that's insane. You can't write better fiction than reality, man. You just can't. Anyway, the point is that, you know, even now, could I see a little bit of pullback here, even into these lows? And frankly speaking, could we get a dump back down and test the old breakout high back into this traffic area? Sure. I mean, this is an extremely volatile asset, guys. Please understand that. Am I calling that? That's where it's going to go? Push? No. I don't know. In fact, you know, off my lower time frame charts that I'm posting on the site and stuff, I'm going to really keep a close eye on Let's see. I mean, first and foremost, I'm actually a little surprised that they left as much of a wick here on the weekly chart as they had. This day still has another 5-6 hours. We might actually get a little bit of a rally here through the end of this. I don't know. That's a prediction, whatever. But trade location-wise, I do have a very interesting trade location developing off a reload zone of this range here. So I'm going to keep a close eye for trade setups through here. But as it stands right at the moment, I'm just sitting on my hands. And actually what was really interesting is this candle at one point was almost like just like a complete shooting star yesterday, with almost like no body at all. And we did have some shark traders that were zipping in and just grabbing off of the lows. And I was actually very impressed with those trades. For God's sakes, please make sure they're in your trading plan and you have appropriate risk measures taken relative to the size of your portfolio. And of course, if you're using leverage, have a multiple alarm set and stuff, because you can't trust these exchanges to honor your stops. It's a trader's life in Bitcoin. You know the story. But I was impressed with guys that were in there zipping off of the panic dump off the top. But really that's not the purpose of this chart. This chart is just sort of, let's talk a little bit about higher time frame. What sort of happened here? I suppose the last thing that I would make a comment about here is, two things. Number one, if this is the top, then we can realistically think about investing in Bitcoins on a nice dump back, probably, sub 1,000. We're probably, if this thing does roll over and break, the big question will be, did Bitcoin ever get below 1,000 again? Clearly the old breakout highs in this traffic area, this is going to be a huge battle. So and it's kind of sad because there were a lot of people in the public that were sort of like, Brian, can I buy? Can I buy? Can I buy? And I was just like, I don't know. I don't think so. And they see this and they're like, fuck me. I guess the way I look at this is investors sort of idea. And it might take this long to develop, this might be like a year and a half conversation where, we just simply wait for this thing to come down, put in bottoms, and we start the whole game all over again. That's one scenario. Given the fear cycle apex, and actually the at ease at which this moved up and down, I'm not ready to put a fork in Bitcoin. I think, we have, at the very least, established a bit of a range here, so at least they're cleaning things up now. Overbought, oversold indicators are just ridiculously overextended here. And this is actually seasonally very normal for risk assets to peak into May and then go soft for 6 weeks, maybe. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I often see it happen in the stock market. Most of the professionals in the stock market, they just are on vacation for the summer. When I was a rookie, of course, in many years, I had to work through the summer, right, and keep trying to open accounts, blah, blah, blah. And I would watch year after year after year in the stock market. The market would peak in April, May, then dump into June, and then ultimately bottom the first or second week of July. It was almost like clockwork. And it's interesting too, because I remember the Japanese market usually it gets hit the hardest right around the end of June, beginning of July too. Something happens in Japan. I can't remember. There is some specific reason. And I also remember too, JC was telling me years gone by that in Australia, their tax loss selling season, their event is the end of June. So I think there's a lot of sort of tax reasons too why we get that sort of sell in May and walk away, and the market bottoms the end of June and puts a bottom into beginning of July. So with that said, this kind of blast off and then quick pullback, and now we fuck around with the new bulls that are all trapped long up here, and we eventually wash them out over the next month. That to me seems actually almost cliche. It's almost like, well, if that did happen, you could go, why would you expect anything different? Which is sad. It sucks, but this is capitalism, right? I got a funny feeling, and this is just my hunch, but if we put on 38.2s here, and actually it's really interesting off the lower time frames, we're really watching 38.2 in play. Excuse me, off the lower time frame charts right now. But notice how the 38.2 here is right in between this bull-bear battle zone. So in essence, the bull won this battle, and if we have to come back down and test this battle zone, all that is good old first stop target. That's what the market's supposed to do. And my hunch is we're actually going to do something like this, right? And then getting set up for that final blast off into, and the reason why I'm only thinking this is because this is the fear cycle apex. I can see it, I can feel it. Everything is building towards this apex, and I just don't think that this is it. It's not the right time of year. That apex is supposed to come September, October, November. And we also, according to the January barometer, we're supposed to go sideways here, but stocks want to push higher, and they're pushing higher. So that's basically playing out the way I expected. So I don't see any reason why we should be all of a sudden calling a top here in Bitcoin. And then the last piece, which I think was just sort of like the final, it actually got me to the point where I was like, fuck man, I really ought to do a video about this. I noticed this morning I put out, and it looks like some people actually are interested in this. I put out a tweet. Where the hell is it? Because something jumped out at me, and I was just like, oh wow. This person here, and I don't know who this person is, just someone on the internet. China's June Bitcoin trade regulation could affect Bitcoin price. If you go through and read this, basically, and I got the notifications from OKCoin that they're moving stuff around and getting all ready. They're going through the process of cleaning China up, and this article just basically said that June's when you're going to see the most pain. But basically, they're setting themselves up so that on the through June, they can actually see, the other side of this sort of whole, China's got to get its act together with all this front running and all that kind of bullshit. The article said that we're going to see fines. We're going to see some pretty nasty talk. There's going to probably be a lot of FUD. And there's going to be a lot of up in arms, the Bitcoin community about, government this, government that. I already start to see it. Some people are like, oh, the government's coming after you, Bitcoin. Right? And I can already start to see that being injected in here. I think this is going to hit sort of an apex through this. But even this article says that the internal demand in China for Bitcoins is unstoppable right now. And it's not. And the funny thing is about these exchanges is you can't withdraw the funds. People are still buying. It's not traders that are buying. It's fucking people buying. And I think the Chinese see that. Like the actual government. I think they see it. That this is a tsunami. You can't stop this. So that jumped out at me this morning. And it just seemed very convenient because this is all gonna, the sad part about it is, Booby Guy and his fucking Super Bowl bets on Bitcoin, that's not a real fucking market. And guys like that don't make money in the long run trading. The market has to get rid of those people. And that's what's happening right now. I don't think it's a good idea to get too swept up in the short term. Let's all just acknowledge that this was just a ridiculously monstrous face rip rally. And if anything, give us a month or two of just sort of sideways. Let's fucking clean this up. Some back and forth. It's pretty big wild price ranges. So all you guys, all you fucking trader guys, this should be like a field day for you. Get your setups, Hollywood Nicks, bull bear divergences, structures. Even Thomas was in the lounge today posting that he was hunting setups and taking setups. And he even said a while ago that a lot of the stuff that I trade, I learned in the level 1 program. All the tutorials are right on the tutorial page on the website. So you could all do this. This isn't rocket science. But you just got to build that plan and be able to manage yourself. Now that's a big reason why a lot of people are in the education program, to help with that process. But I just want to mention that there are going to be traders that are going to be trading this. We've got our 6 market matrix hunting divergences. We're definitely trade location. We're hunting divergences for trade setups. That's the leverage trading plan that we're following right now for the site. But that doesn't necessarily mean lower time frame. I want to see you trading that exclusively. And I had this conversation with another person this morning. Really, what I want to do on this site, and I hope everybody understands this, is I want to build like independent thinkers. And I would love to come into the lounge and just have a conversation with the traders, all sort of, hey, I got this set up, this looks really interesting, I got that level going, what do you think of that? And talk as a group of well-informed, well sort of planned professionals. So okay, that's my rant. I have no idea how long I've been going here today, but I have just kind of a bit of a fun. I hope you got some value out of all the things that I said today. But I thought, given the volatility in the markets, that I ought to just maybe do a quick Bitcoin video and sort of give you an idea of what I was thinking off of, what the hell's going on in the market. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that. By all means, pop on the site. I don't know whether this is public on YouTube or not. I don't know. It just says live streaming. I'm not even quite sure what happens here. I do see there are a few people watching, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this. It's Sunday morning here. We'll do a daily brief tomorrow, beginning of the week. But I know it's been kind of a funny long weekend here, and I thought guys will probably appreciate hearing Unky Brian's voice to get us through all this. Okay, so have yourselves a great afternoon, everybody. I'm going to be off with Liam, enjoying the sunshine. All the best, and we'll say bye for now.